everybody, to another episode of Bill on Bikes. As the recording of this, it is March 19th, 2026. Going to be another hot one out here in Phoenix. We're setting all kinds of records. I think we're going to be in the high 90s today, which is crazy for this time of year. As you can see, I am slammed. Let me rotate this camera around a little bit. That's a 2018 here. I'm just wrapping up a service. You can see all the bikes in the shop. Just pan around for you the best I can. There's another bike behind me. All the benches are full. And this is very typical for this time of year. I got Bike Week coming up in just, 2.5 weeks. On the 2nd of April, I have to be in Houston to do a motorcycle inspection for my forensics business. And then from there, I'm going to drive to Gainesville, Texas, and hopefully pick up my new piece of machinery, the last piece that I need, and then I can do a whole video on that and show you what we got going here with all the new pieces of equipment. I'm almost done with this service. I have to bleed the .4 in the clutch and the brakes and check the battery terminals and check the charging quickly, and then I can get it out, clean her up, I'll be done. I'm gonna do another service I have here that I have to knock out on I think it's a 19, oh yeah, it's right here, another limited. I have to knock that one out, my friend Bill's bike. And then I'm gonna do a video for you guys on installation of a Soundstream stereo system. One of my customers really wanted a Soundstream. A couple years ago, they approached me to be a dealer. I was a little hesitant because I'm so busy with performance. I don't have a lot of time to do, stereo installations. But, told me they're pretty seamless and great, supposedly a great product. So I've recently become a dealer. I am going to do the installation. I've never installed one before, which after all my years of saying I haven't done something in the industry, especially to do with Harleys or choppers, it's a little weird to say, but I haven't installed a Soundstream stereo system. I have another guy who wants a Fosgate that I have to put in. To each their own, everybody wants something different. But supposedly the Soundstream's a really nice system. It has the Apple CarPlay, and then it has the Android Play and all these different things. It'll show all the gauges. So I'm going to invite you guys to come along with me to do that installation. But before we do that, let me knock out this service and the next FLHTK. I'll knock that one out. So by the time we get back to this video, I'm going to assume it's probably going to be Friday, maybe even possibly Saturday morning. We'll do the Soundstream install together, and we'll see if it's worth the hype. So let's get to it. All right, guys. It is now Friday around 3:30 or so in the afternoon. I did finish those two services, so today is the 20th. I might have gotten the date wrong. I think I said it was the 19th. When really it was probably I started, this was the 18th. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So that stuff's done. I'm a little under the gun here. I got a bunch more bikes coming between now and Bike Week, and when I have to leave on the 1st, my birthday of all days, to roll to Texas. So I'll be gone. I'll miss the first 4 days of Bike Week, but that's okay. I'll pick up my new piece of machinery. Hopefully that's going to be done and get back in the shop and I can get to work. But between now and then, we have to finish this stereo setup, and I have another glide outside that just showed up that needs to be done before Bike Week. I got a throttle cable issue with a bike that has to be done before Bike Week. A tri-glide that needs to be done before Bike Week, and another service on top of that, and possibly another one. It's gonna be a lot of hours. Anyway, let's open our box here and see where we're at with this new Soundstream system. Like I've said to you guys, I've never installed one of these, and we'll see how it goes. Supposedly it's pretty seamless. Let's find out. First want to get our invoice off the box, just in case I need it. I've already put all this stuff in inventory. That's another thing. When you're the head sweeper, head parts person, head technician, head owner, you have to do everything, and I'll tell you what, it is time consuming. Oh, and I have a FXD that I am putting a fueling pump support plate kit in with 574s, and then Tom will be here till the end of Bike Week, so I need to get that done so he can dyno tune it for me, because I'd rather have him do it because he's just so good. Okay, let's see here. We have the V head unit, handlebar control module, two 6x5 speakers, a 4-channel amp, and the amplifier wire kit for the 2014 and later. I've also been told the handlebar control module, the EPS MRR, I believe we have to download something into the laptop, some sort of program, or we go to their site and then we configure that unit so we don't have any issues with the head unit talking to the rest of the CAN bus system. CAN bus is the operating system. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about having to reflash your stereos and things like that when you do the install. Oh boy. Okay, here's our amp. This is the amp installation kit. Some of our speakers, another speaker kit, and the head unit. This is supposed to be the system. Guys love these, I'm told. You know, between you and me, not a big stereo guy. Obviously, I'm a chopper guy. I like to go down the road, no music, just blasting down the highway. But if I was touring, obviously, it'd be nice to have a GPS, especially if you don't know where you're going, listen to some tunes. But for the most part, not really a stereo guy. Which is kind of funny because the shop's name is Motorcycle Radio Garage. That's the LLC. And that's because I had my nationally syndicated radio show, the Motorcycle Radio Network, on Radio America's network. We were on some 90 stations. We were in multiple countries. That was fun to do. I've been offered to actually start it up again. I don't know, maybe we will at some point. Actually, MRN reached out to Todd and I when he was still alive out of Florida. It was the vice president called us and asked if we were interested in doing the show. But it's pretty tough. I'm so busy in the shop. I'm not sure it's something I'd really be able to do, but you know, consider anything. I've also been offered to do start a podcast. I don't know if I have the time to do that either. So there's only so many hours in the day, and obviously you guys see how much I work in this shop. What's really cool about this, I like the gauge package. This gauge package is very unique. Obviously, you know, in these head units, you can't really bring up anything. Hopefully this is gonna be as nice as everyone says. So I'm gonna get everything opened up here. I'll get it laid out and we'll start reading the instructions because we'll find out exactly what I need to do. All right, well, good morning, everybody. It is now Saturday morning and I'm sure you guys are probably saying, well, what happened to Friday? When I ended up shutting the camera off, I had a phone call with another attorney, was on the phone for an hour and a half. By that time, it ended up being so late in the evening, kind of shot my day. So I decided to go home and grab my new Dell. I just purchased a new Dell computer, which is in here, and go on the website and look up all the things I needed to do. I printed out all the different instructions, or as I call them, the destructions. And I also printed out an extra copy of the operator's manual for my customer, so he'll have it. You know, it's weird in today's world. Everything is scan the QR code, this and that. They don't give you manuals anymore, which for an older guy like me, that's a little disheartening. But it's just the way the world is, and you have to jump through all these hoops to get the information you need. So I did go online and went to the app, downloaded that into the computer for this. This is the Maestro unit. This is what's going to allow us to have all your peripherals, the switches, work correctly. This is what recognizes the switches in conjunction with the head unit. So without this, the system wouldn't work correctly. So I have to program this. I'm not sure how difficult that's going to be because I didn't get too far with it last night. Once I was done doing all the downloads, it was pretty late. I think I got to bed around 10 o'clock. I'll tell you guys, I'm tired. I'm not going to lie to you. I am putting in so many hours. This shop's never been busier. It's so busy. And you know, you always hear about, well, it's a down economy and this and that. Yeah, maybe, somewhat, for some, and that sucks. But I will say this, and historically, this, you can look this up, this is proven, there's been studies done. The best time to open a business is in a down economy. Now, I'm not saying a real terrible economy, but a lot of guys that started right after, you know, the 08, 09 times there when the housing market crashed and stuff, I know a lot of guys that made a ton of money, guys that came in that had money already put away, bought some homes and stuff. I mean, they cleaned up, guys started real estate businesses. Realtors did good back then because they were selling houses left and right once everything got kind of cleared out. But even when I started this business was during, who was in then? I guess it would have been Obama. Yeah, and supposedly the economy wasn't great then, but you know, we did fine. So any of you guys are thinking about starting a business, now may be the time to do it. This high gas price thing and stuff, it's not going to last. And hey, high gas prices, what do people do? They ride more motorcycles. That's a fact. Always has been that way. Anyway, enough of that. I am going to stop the audio and the video. I got to pull all these bikes out. I got about 25 bikes sitting here. I have to get out the door. And once I'm done with that, I got a couple phone calls to make. We'll get back on our project. So thanks for sticking with me. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends too, guys. I really appreciate it. Still can't believe how much this channel has grown. I mean, I'm almost at 5,000 subscribers, that's pretty cool. I thought I'd have that in like 5 years. I don't know, whatever. I appreciate you guys watching. So let me get doing my thing and we'll get back. Okay, back at it. Everything's outside. One of the first things we're gonna need to do, I'm gonna need to get the serial number off the stereo. It's probably on the box. I know it's on the stereo on the back, but let's just see. I actually don't see it on the box. Usually there's a sticker. No? Okay. I'm saving all those boxes for my customers' stock stuff. Well, we'll get the numbers. There's a couple numbers here. I'm going to write them both down. They're both QR codes, so I'm not sure which one is the actual number. All right. We have both of those numbers. We'll figure out which one is the actual serial number. Surprised it doesn't actually have a designator on there. But again, like I said, it's the first one I've ever done, so make sure we do it right. I don't see any other numbers here. I'm sure it tells me in the instructions which is what. I think we're done with this for now. This part, I'm gonna reposition the camera. We'll start the disassembly, get the fairing off, seat off, fuel tank. I'll point out a couple things to do to just maybe keep your eye on during the disassembly, and we'll go from there. Let's start the disassembly. Where we're running an amp, we will have to pull the fuel tank because you're gonna have to run the ground and the hot wire back directly to the battery. So we'll remove the seat, the tank, we're gonna remove the outer fairing. I will pop the saddlebags off, and I'll pull the left side cover because I'm going to show you that you have to pull the 60 amp maxi fuse. You want to do that first with the ignition on, pull the fuse, then shut it off. You don't want to, spike the ECM or anything like that. So it'll save you codes for later too. It won't have codes. So, okay, let's get going. All right, guys, you want to have your key fob in the vicinity of the bike. Obviously, it's in the compartment here. We're going to turn our switch on, and then we're going to reach over here and we're going to pull out the 50 amp fuse on this one. I think I said 60 because I was thinking 23 and a half. So we're going to remove our 50 amp fuse, kill switch off, and that's that. That way we won't be setting off the alarm. We won't trip any codes. Just makes your life a lot easier. Okay, now that we've done that, we want to remove, hey, the compressor, right when I start talking. What's the odds? All right, we're going to remove the wire through cover, and we're going to run our amp up the right side here, over to the left, and then up towards the front. So if you're going to do this at home, you want to make sure that you see where the brake lines are routed. Your ties, you want to make sure you put them back in the same place. And then this tape, we just tend to go in here, we just cut it a little bit and leave it in position. We just cut a slot in and flip this over. So it's not that difficult. You just want to make sure you put it back together correctly. You know what? Take a picture with your phone. That might help you. All right, after looking at the instructions, it says they want us to remove the headlight too, so we'll do what they want. Kind of like being married, right? Do what the wife wants. Happy wife, happy life. Works for me. And I'll tell you what, my allergies are killing me. So sniffly. Moving these Christmas trees can be a pain. I gotta get the right tool from my Matco guy. They have a tool that just slips onto here and pops these right off. Make it a lot easier. They make it difficult to get these off sometimes. Normally I can just unplug these, but these Christmas trees sometimes are really a pain. If I can slide this one off, we're good. There we go. Those are always fun. You can't always slide. Sometimes it's difficult to slide these out, so I tend to just pop out the Christmas tree, but you just have to be careful not to break these little tabs. which we didn't, luckily. Okay guys, we're gonna run the harness for the amplifier up from the battery. I'm gonna run it through the wire through. I wanna go to the bottom of the wire through here. I don't wanna sit on top of the factory wires. And then up left side of the frame, there's another plastic piece that I can fish this through on the bottom side and then get it up front. So hopefully that'll work out. Let's give it a shot. I mean, this has a 60 amp fuse, and I want to give us a little extra wire down here and route this so the battery cover fits properly. Nothing upsets me more than when I go to work on a bike and they've stuffed all kinds of stuff on the battery on the top, and the covers don't fit right, the ECM doesn't fit right. It drives me nuts. So let's try to do this so everything works correctly and will be nice and neat. So I'm assuming that if I tuck this down in here, let's go to the bottom side of this. I'm gonna try to not cut the factory tie just to save me a little time here. I go like this. I like to turn this up so if we have a blown fuse, it makes it easier to work on it. That'll fit down in there like that. We can run our positive over here and then our ground. So that should work out. That'll give us enough. We'll go with that. Move our hands-free antenna. Be careful here not to interfere with any of the factory stuff. I'm probably making this more complicated than it needs to be, but well, you can imagine if you had to shorten this, it would fry all your wires in your back. You'd have to put a whole new harness on. That wouldn't be good. That would not be good. That's another thing, the can is really sensitive to magnetic waves. That's why you see everything here in twisted pairs, you know, radio interference. And you hope these wires don't interfere with that, which I would say they wouldn't. Now, like I said, I want to go to the bottom side of this, cut wire through like this, and then put the factory stuff on top. That is pretty neat. That should work out. And there should be plenty of slack there. That's gonna come up through the front. Okay. What I think we'll do now is put the wire through cover back on and secure everything. That way it won't pop up. These are the wires. I think that looks pretty good. Well, have the wire run up for the amp. I'm probably going to reinstall the fuel tank now. Just wanted to show you this bracket. Pretty nice aluminum piece here, also acts as a heat sink, but I was wondering what these lines were on the back of this thing last night. Well, can't go wrong with this, the way they have it set up. Just line up your screw holes, 14 plus Road Glide, and you put the 2mm little countersunk screws in there and you're good to go. That's what's going to mount the amplifier to the head unit. So can you hear in the background the music I listen to? Love this type of stuff. Listen to it all day. Unfortunately, while I'm taping, I have to have it off. So I'm going to kill the volume so I can keep listening to the music while I'm working. And I just want to point out before we put in our nice 6.5-inch precision power speaker, compared to the Harley one, you can see how much smaller. Harley fills the gap here with this plate, but it's a much smaller speaker. You can see the difference in the size. These are supposed to sound fantastic, so we'll find out. All right, guys, I guess this is my first complaint you're going to hear. This bracket and everything, the way they do it is really nice, how it fits up underneath for the amp. But they have it designed so your adjustments are in the back. Now, if you're really a non-audio guy like myself, how are you gonna know what settings to make? And once you have these wires connected, it makes it pretty tight. It doesn't look as, I'm gonna have enough room here to have this hanging and be able to do the adjustments. So I don't love that. There's another company called Volunteer Audio, and I've looked at one of their videos. They have some special way to preset all this stuff, so when you were to purchase this online, you know, these settings are all done for you. Really true plug and play. So in my case, it's not going to work that way, and I'm going to have to try to figure this out, what the best settings are. So for now, I think I'm going to slide this up into position, try to get my connections, because then the Maestro has to connect too. Actually, there will be connections in the back, so not 100% sure how I'm going to tackle this. This is a nice bracket, though. It's got a slot here that it slips up into. Once you get it up in position, it goes right in, which is really kind of nice. See that? And you would just bolt that in, and there's couple small screws and that's it, you're done. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. So I'm gonna have to stand by and see what I can find out. Okay guys, so from what I'm seeing here, this is the harness that's for the little Maestro unit, so our switches will work. And then of course we have our amp harness here. So the Maestro unit's gonna go into the back of our headset, and then we'll plug in the amp into this connection, and then these will go into the Maestro. So I'm going to use a little dielectric grease. They recommend that on these particular connections, which is cool, because we even do that on ECMs. Not too much, just a little bit. And I'm just going to leave the amp in there, just sitting up in there for now. It's pretty secure, so I'm not worried about it falling out. And we'll go from there. You know, when you haven't done something before, it's a little more time consuming. Normally, I bet I could have been done with this a while ago, but you know, what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? So we're gonna plug the Maestro in here. Go into these wires. Lock it in position. You'll hear an audible click, which is good. This is a normal stereo connection here. So we're gonna connect that there. Am I right on that? Hang on a sec. Let's see here. Well, even before I do that, let's get the power hooked up. Put a little dielectric grease there too. That's our amp power. That click. And then we should have our speaker wires here. That's for the amp. That should plug in there. Nice and easy peasy. Okay. Now this, with the Maestro wires. Just trying to think ahead here when I go to do these wires so everything's out of the way. Hopefully I'm not going to have any headlight issues. Hopefully that's going to be deep enough. Should be. Okay. So there we go. Seems to be quite a bit of room under here, so we shouldn't have any problems. Getting the wires tucked up out of the way. Okay, we'll get that after. So that's pretty good. So now we need to program the Maestro and then connect that here, and then we'll get the rear speakers in, and we should be able to maybe test this out. So let's keep moving. All right, let's get these rear speakers removed, and we'll get the new ones installed. Tell you, that does not want to come off. And these Harley speakers are some cheap. You can just tell. They're not the quality of the our other speakers, that's for sure. Stay, Ubu, stay. Normally I'd be on the other side doing this, but I want to try to give you guys a view, so not that easy sometimes. Doing this crap. Okay, got it. These are just really cheap. You'd think for $35,000, whatever a new Road Glide, whatever my customer might pay for this, you'd get better quality. Now, I had seen where these guys will, instead of using the stock position for the screws, they actually rotate this slightly and then they drill the plastic. They say there's less chance of vibration loosening the screws, but I don't know. To me, that's kind of hack. I don't know if I really want to do that. I'd rather use the stock position. So, you know what? If they loosen up, then I'll take care of it at a different time. If you don't want it to loosen, right there is pretty good. All right, we'll get that in. All right, guys, before I was going to lose my mind, I'm like, there has to be some sort of spacer here because these screw holes do not line up. Sure enough, there is a spacer. This is going to pop in here like this once I get the spacer mounted, and then they'll fit correctly. I don't know what that other company was talking about, just saying that they rotate this and drill directly into the plastic and then mount the covers on. I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood. But hey, compressor. What I've decided to do, guys, is I'm going to take each one of these screws out one at a time and just put a little dab of purple Loctite on there, just in case. That way they won't loosen up. I think the safety factor will be well worth it. And I'm going to wait to position the speaker grill just in case I have some sort of issue with the, with the unit. So we'll leave them off. We'll put these on at the very end because I'd have to get in it with an awl and go around and pull it off because it looks like they snap in place. So it's going to be a nice looking grill though. Much better than stock. I like being able to see the speaker. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. I think I've accomplished as much as I can today. I have to be the good husband, go home, take care of the dogs. The wife is with her friend for the next couple days enjoying Prescott. Wish I was there, but I have to be here working. And maybe I'll either come in early tomorrow on Sunday and try to knock a few hours out because I have to have this done by the end of the day Monday. Mike has some friends coming into town. I mean, he's got like 5 bikes, but I think they want to ride this particular one also. So I got to try to get this knocked out. I'm going to bring the Maestro home with the laptop, and I'm going to try to program that at the house. I think it'll be much easier and save me some time, and then I can wire it into the front. So all in all, not a bad day. A little slower than I wanted to be, if I'm being honest, but we haven't done one before and trying to figure this out. I'm still going to try to find some more information on the tuning of the amp. Like I said, I'm not Mr. Stereo. Believe it or not, I'm not that into stereos. I like music in my vehicle, in my car, obviously, but on the bike, I'm not that big of a, don't really care about it, to be honest with you. But I know most of my clients do, and I want to do my best for them. So that's what I plan on doing. So I will catch you guys probably either tomorrow morning, or I'll catch you on Monday morning, and it will be really early, probably like 5 in the morning. So we'll see. Anyway, we'll keep on moving, and we'll get rocking tomorrow. All right, it is Monday morning, March 23rd. We are back at it. I've actually left my house at like 5 this morning. It's now probably around 11 because I've had to check in more bikes, do a little bit of paperwork. Just having your own business, that's what you end up doing. It's a crazy time of year. Anyway, I was able to program the Maestro, no problem. It's pretty seamless. You just go on the website, configure it, compare it to the switches you have, and configure it that way. So that's going to be pretty good. One thing I did forget, there is a USB charging cable here, and you need to run that up to the glove box. So I'm going to pop this off as a unit. It's just about 4 Allen screws instead of having to undo and get inside where the speaker actually sits. So we'll just pull those Allens. I'll pop that off. I'll run the wire to where the factory one is, up in the right glove box, and then reinstall it. At that point, I think we're pretty much ready to set up the amp. That's a whole issue in itself. Everybody has a different opinion how to set amps. Some guys say use an ohm meter. Some say turn the volume all the way up, get it to where it distorts, and then back the amp off. I'll get it the best that I can do with the way I think it should sound, and we'll go from that point. Other than that, this, so far it's been pretty seamless. It's just, again, time consuming when you haven't done one before. After this, I'm sure the next one I'll knock it out in no time. I'm going to get this in position. I'm going to pop this off, run that wire, and then I think we'll install the fuel tank and I'll get ready to test it out. So let's see what happens. Okay guys, we're ready to fire this up. I've already played around with the amp and the tuning. I've got it to the best of my ability where it won't distort with the volume wide open, this seems to be the easiest way to do this without some, putting ohm meters on and doing all that, and I don't know that we have to get that technical. So let's fire this up. I will tell you ahead of time, I am really impressed. This thing cranks. The screen's beautiful. This is the boot up screen. That's not changeable, by the way. You're stuck with that, which is still, it's cool looking. And it's going to say Soundstream. Listen to this. I'm not thinking, I probably just blew your eardrums out, huh? Sorry. Anyway, you know what's neat about this? Obviously, we have Apple CarPlay right here, Android. My customer's not here, so when he is here, we'll go to device list, we'll click that, and we'll go into his settings in his phone, and we'll match that up with his contacts and everything. You know what? Really cool, though. You click gauges, and now we have full gauge packs on here, is where with the stock setup, you don't have that. This screen is really bright. I mean, I'll tell you what, this is an impressive system. I have installed, the Rockford stuff over the years. This thing cranks, and I don't think I'm really pushing the system. Someone could probably even fine tune it better than I can. But I'm pretty happy. My customer's going to be happy. I am going to button this up, so get the outer fairing on, and he's actually getting a new seat. We'll get that all on here, and we'll wrap this up at the end, and I'll give you my final thought. Okay, our Soundstream installation is all set. This V2 head unit's beautiful. The speakers crank. I couldn't be happier. Yeah, there was a learning curve. If you haven't done one before, like I have not installed a Soundstream, so there was a little bit to learn there. I think I could probably knock this out in a normal, 4 or 5 hour installation. Obviously, I didn't have to cut the speakers into bag lids. I actually have another job coming in where I'm actually going to have to do that with a Rockford setup. But this Soundstream is very impressive. I'm super happy with it. I haven't hooked into Google CarPlay yet. I'm waiting for my customer to come in with his Apple phone, and we'll get that all set up because I don't want him to have to go through and do it. It looks pretty seamless, honestly. It almost hooks up by itself. This thing really does crank. All the switches work. Obviously the gauges that I showed you prior. So I'm happy to carry this product. It's crazy because the stereo world, or audio, it's its own genre. I mean, I didn't know this, but when I was trying to figure out how to tune the amp the best way, and like I said, some guys say with a multimeter, some say crank the volume, get the gain till it just distorts and then back it off. That's how I did it, worked fine for me. I'm sure someone will say that's not right, whatever. There's actually an audio dyno. That's how much these guys are into this performance when it comes to stereo. Just like we're into performance with the engines, and you know, we have a dyno for that. They literally have an audio dyno, which I thought was impressive. So I also found a lot of good information at Volunteer Audio. They were great, and that's pretty much it. I think it's time for me to go for a nice sunset ride. I really appreciate you guys watching, and please like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time on Bill on Bikes. I'm going for a ride. See you later.